Okay, so on to today's talk. Well, we're honored to host our guest speakers today from John Deere, Erin Wyffels and Matt Ring, who will present Unlocking Value, John Deere's IT journey from projects to products. I first heard about this transformation back in 2022 at the IT Revolution Enterprise Technology Leaders Summit, and I was so impressed by both the ambition as well as the storytelling that goes along with this story. So to introduce our speakers today, Erin Wyffels is a product and portfolio coach at John Deere, and Erin is a big fan of product management, OKRs, portfolio management, and coaching others to meet their goals. Erin holds a couple of degrees in engineering, but is most proud of over 2 decades of very diverse work at John Deere. Matt Ring is a senior product and engineering coach with John Deere. He's been there for 5 years and has over 19 years in IT. Matt works with leaders, practitioners, and teams on helping them elevate their own product, lean, agile, and DevOps ways of working, and in cultivating an organizational culture of continuous learning and experimentation. So without further delay, I'd like to hand it over to Erin and Matt, and the floor is yours.
Awesome. All right, thank you, Marcus. Let me go ahead and get my screen shared here. All right, and if you would, just give me either a virtual or physical thumbs up that it's showing. All right, I see some thumbs up. Excellent. All right, well, thank you again. Erin and I are really excited to join this community. We're also really excited to share our company's transformation journey over these past 5 years now, especially our project to product journey. We are happy to share how we are continuing to evolve our ways of working to unlock even greater value for our customers and our company. But first, let me just share a little bit about John Deere. So we are a nearly 200-year-old company. We provide solutions for agriculture, construction, and road building. We are embedding technology into our products and our business every step of the way. We have over 100 locations across the globe and around 82,000 employees across our production and salaried workforce. So many of you have probably heard of John Deere. You may know us from our green tractors. You may even know us from our construction equipment. You may even own a John Deere lawnmower. But even if you haven't heard of us or used a piece of our equipment, that's okay too, because we run for all. The expected world population by the year 2050 is 10 billion people. That's nearly 2 billion more than what we have today. That means we're going to need more of everything: more food, more clothing, more infrastructure. So at John Deere, our purpose is to help life leap forward. We do this by creating products and solutions that help our customers provide the food, fuel, fiber, and infrastructure that helps each of us, those of us on this call, those within our local communities, and across the planet at large. That requires us to be constantly innovating on behalf of humanity and the planet. So, in order to meet these challenges in our digital space, our company undertook a global technology transformation from 2019 to 2022 in transforming over 500 global technology teams, shifting from projects to products, adopting new agile and DevOps ways of working, and evolving our organizational culture to be more generative, psychologically safe, and transparent. We focused on changing 3 things: what we worked on, so that was really adopting more of a product mindset, an emphasis on value creation, and a greater focus on customer centricity. We changed how we worked, so this was that introduction of agile frameworks, shifting our investment model toward more of a total cost of ownership, evolving our team topologies, and then creating new dedicated roles to support these new ways of working. And then strengthening our foundation. So not just a focus on processes and technologies, but also in our people and their skills. So this combination of people, process, and technology, and investing in each of these to sustain these new ways of working. We used an iterative and incremental approach, something we called wave emergence. This is the image on the top right here, where we would take thin vertical slices of an organization from the senior leadership down into the teams, and would spend 20 weeks each coaching, mentoring and pairing at all levels on these new ways of working. And after 3 years of this transformation, we saw tremendous results. Better speed to release, deploying more changes more often and in smaller batches, with happier customers and happier employees, and in realizing a greater than 100% return on investment for that 3-year initiative. Okay, so that was the first 3 years. And when we wrapped that effort up, we knew that there was more work to do. And so then we began to focus on that next horizon, what we call our digital leaps. These digital leaps aligned with our company's strategic goals, which we called our leap ambitions. There's a theme there. And actually, if you go out to Deere.com and search for leap ambitions, you can find what their company strategy is. Those are out in the public domain. As you can see in the right circle, our 3 digital leaps focused in on value maximization. That's our what. And then driving towards that value maximization through continual transformation of our technology stack and ongoing upskilling of our employees to meet the challenges of tomorrow, what we refer to as digital mastery. And this year, we continued toward amplification of that strategy, accelerating toward even greater value maximization by improving our speed to value and in promoting an unmatched employee experience. And at the center of it is this continued emphasis on sustaining and evolving our agile operating model. All right, so you may be wondering, how are we driving these levels of sustained transformation? So Erin and I both work in what's called our IT strategy and transformation organization. This organization is focused on driving continued excellence in how we work and promoting our next levels of transformation via advocacy, continuous learning, and development platforms that make doing the right thing easier and faster across our digital product teams. For Erin and I, we work in that central center area there around digital mastery and advocacy area. And our primary focus is on elevating our product roles and the product management function. So some examples of the work that we do includes helping onboard new product people and helping set them up and their managers up for long-term success. Engaging in product teams to help them discover if they're building the right thing and not just building the thing right. And equipping our product roles to embrace new artificial intelligence and machine learning technologies so that they can work more efficiently in their roles and to assess opportunities to be able to use these technologies within their digital products. I'm not going to go deeply into each of the other areas of our organization. We encompass a lot, but I do want to pause and call out one of our favorite parts of the slide. It's actually the asterisk at the bottom right. We are privileged to have a strong central organization to lead these change efforts, but we also strongly believe that any kind of sustained transformation is more effective and more long-lasting when it's co-led by change agents that are embedded and aligned in the organizations closer to our products and the end customers. And so we have those partnerships by design with folks in architecture and security, and again, our change agents. So while we operate in the centralized organization, we don't succeed alone. All right, so while it would be a fun, challenging exercise to try and dig into all 5 years worth of strategic execution that we've been doing in the next 30 minutes, not going to do that. Instead, we're going to focus in specifically on our journey from projects to products and how that element is helping position us to maximize the value out of our digital product investments. So when we started on our agile operating model in 2019, we had a number of what we called to be desired characteristics that we wanted to achieve. What did we want to look like in the future? And so as it relates to our project to product journey, here were 3 outcomes that we wanted to get to. So first of all, having a strong product management function specifically established within our lines of business. We didn't want it to be centralized as part of IT. We wanted tighter alignment between the business goals and the product goals that were being pursued. We wanted to have a product model that was driving funding choices and prioritization. So basically we wanted to fund long-lived products, not projects. And then third, we wanted to make sure that we had stable cross-functional teams that were organized around those products and services. Those were our top 3 characteristics. And so with that, what I want to do is turn it over to Erin to double click a little bit into how we went about achieving those outcomes. Erin?
Thank you, Matt. All right, so as we reflect on the past 4 years and those biggest outcomes we were going after, we have 3 focus areas we want to share with you today. I'll be sharing about the structure and process, and Matt will cover the people side of things. So starting off with our structure, we'd like to first share about how our product management organization is structured. So you can see on the left side of the visual, we have 3 different product management organizations at John Deere. We are part of the Agile operating model. It's by far the largest of the 3 groups, but we do have 2 other product management orgs in the company we align with from a product management philosophy, career path, and capability perspective. Our goal is that people are easily moving between those areas from a career development perspective. If you take a deeper dive into the Agile operating model bubble and start to think about the types of products and business capabilities that fit into there, those can be grouped into 3 very distinct groups. And depending on which one, depends on how that product management reporting structure is. So the first one, the IT capabilities, these are things like our infrastructure and operations teams, security, even our group. Matt mentioned we're in strategy and transformation. We are in the IT capabilities, and our product managers report up through IT directors. And then when you shift over to the middle there, those are all the products and capabilities that are used, like the end users of those are dealers or John Deere customers. You saw the slide on the one of the first ones that Matt shared with all of those different hard iron products. Those are a lot of the digital products in that category. And then the third one is internal operations. So that would be things like finance, manufacturing, engineering, supply chain. Those fit into there. And in those dealer, customer, and internal operations orgs, the product management roles report up through the business organization. So that was a very big change for us as we started the Agile operating model, but was very important and we believed it would help us be successful. As you look over on the right side of that slide, you can see our typical structure from the role hierarchy perspective. So we have business capability areas. I mentioned a few of those in examples. The product role there is a chief product officer or a director, kind of depending on which area it is. Those people typically have 4 to 6 group product managers reporting to them. And then as you go down a level, product family is what we call it. We have group product managers, and there they typically have 6 to 8 product managers. And then the lowest level of our product taxonomy would be product level. There we have product managers that would have 1 to 2 teams. All right, so next we want to do a little bit of translating for everyone. We want to show how our product taxonomy compares to the terminology that John Smart uses in Sooner, Safer, Happier. So just have a couple things to share here. So the first one is the product level. That one's easy. Product equals product, essentially. We're using the same terminology. And then as you go up a level in scale, our term is product family. John calls that the value stream that would have multiple products in there. Then shifting up one level again, we call those business capabilities, and that would be a value stream of value streams according to Sooner, Safer, Happier. And then we do have the strategic business area on top, but that is typically just used for typically financial reasons, I would say. But if you wanted to, you could call it a value stream of value streams of value streams. That's a mouthful. All right, let's talk next about how we have defined. Oh, no, I actually need to build that slide a little bit more. I wanted to show you a little bit more about the scope of our Agile operating model so you can really see how many teams, how many of these business capabilities we have. So we have 18 business capabilities, over 400 digital products, and people in product management roles, and over 550 teams. So quite a large scope. All right, so from there, we'll talk next about how we've defined products. So from the very beginning, and this was actually pre-Agile operating model, about 2018 is when we created this definition. And we said a product is a digital solution that enables business capabilities. A digital solution could be one large application, or it could be a collection of different apps or tools that come together to produce a capability. And so there's three major components here. The first, about value, is that whatever comes out of this product, we can define it, we can measure it. It creates value for whoever the users or other systems are that benefit from it. The second is around the product roles. So we want that product manager to be clear, and they also have that authority to make the decisions and prioritize the work within the scope of that product. The third piece is all around teams, and the demand or the scope of that product could be supported by one or two delivery teams. And this definition is exactly the same actually as 5 years ago, which is pretty cool. We used it as a guardrail. It wasn't a mandate. The first two were followed very much, very consistently. The third one is where we have had some deviation over time. And also from the beginning, we made recommendations on how to structure, and often the people that didn't follow the recommendations would see some challenges. And that's where we want to go next, with just sharing some of those challenges that we've observed over the years as it relates to the product taxonomy. So as mentioned, it's been continuously evolving since 2018 when it was first established. The interesting thing is people don't always come to us saying, we need to change structure. Often they reach out and they talk about different challenges they're facing that actually signal the need to us that the structure should change. And over the years, a few themes have emerged for those symptoms that can be improved with structure change. So I'll kind of walk through these. The first one is really if the product scope expanded. New customers, new markets, new offerings. That might make it too large, or maybe we need a split or something new is one of those themes. The second one, usually the biggest symptom is slowness. Teams are needing to coordinate an excessive amount. There's many handoffs. The dependencies are so great. Teams can't do anything on their own. And then the third is kind of around product identity. Maybe there's multiple teams working on the same product, and it's a little bit fuzzy of what one team is working on, what another is, or two or three. And there's low clarity there on the scope. And then the last one is pretty interesting. OKRs tend to be we've used that a lot of times as a signal that taxonomy should change. Either teams are trying to share them. Maybe they're saying they need a lot more than our recommended number. We've also had times where they don't like using their current structure to actually load their OKRs in the system. And that's a signal that we need to make a change to help them actually reflect how they're operating. And all of these things really lead us to our goal of having stable product structures, not necessarily static, but stable. Across our 400 products, we're seeing taxonomy changes on a monthly basis. Occasionally, there's bigger change. It's always due to a reorg. Most of the changes at this point for the past couple of years have just been smaller adjustments. And we really see all these changes and the continuous evolution of it and the way it's being used as positive. We believe that the changing taxonomy is a sign of continuing to shift to higher value work and better ways of working. All right, so that kind of wraps up what I wanted to cover from the structure perspective. Next, I'll share a little bit from a process standpoint. And there's a lot on this slide. This piece of the story is something that we haven't shared as much. So I want to share kind of the ins and outs of it with you today. So as we started our transformation, we very quickly realized we needed to provide guidelines to our large digital product org. And from there, various processes were established and then evolved over time to help manage our portfolio and for our product model to be effective and efficient. We really erred on the side of less process from the start, and we implemented piece by piece as we determined it was needed for the organization. We were very heavy in process prior to this. So the first one is about our value measurement framework. One of our biggest challenges initially was the measurement of value. Most of our products don't generate revenue. Instead, their purpose is to meet the internal needs of our employees, help our manufacturing facilities run, supply chain, etc. Our product org was really used to just keeping the investment stable year after year. And in a lot of cases, they were just being asked to deliver specific solutions by the stakeholders. Over the last 4 years, we've anchored on asking why. Why are we being asked to do these things? And then helping our org mature in the overall shift from output to outcomes and impact. We ask our product management organization to adopt a value framework that includes both financial and experiential value. Our product managers are responsible for product success metrics that they continue to measure over time. And then they have quarterly OKRs that indicate where their short-term goals and focus are. As you scale upwards in the product taxonomy, we continue to utilize the same framework at the product family and business capability area levels. We have both required and optional product management practices. We know it's not good enough to just deliver more faster. Our value measurement framework helps us to work on the highest value items, not creating solutions that don't help our customers with their jobs to be done. We also have guiding principles for portfolio management. And I'm just going to read those off that we've established and evolved a little bit over time, but essentially are the same as from the beginning. So product management roles execute the portfolio process across the entire ecosystem. And they are also accountable for the full product investment, whether it's their resources, license, maintenance. And then those are more direct costs, but also the indirect costs that are things like their infrastructure and hosting costs. Also, priorities and desired business outcomes drive the budgets, not the other way around. Funds are shifted between products, business capability areas, and more based on value. We highly encourage rationalization efforts and have a no new money mindset when we're making our investment and priority decisions. The process is dynamic, but it's very highly aligned to our company's annual planning process. And then last but not least, this one was very, very important to customers of this process. The effort of the process cannot exceed the value of the process. All of those things guided us have been guiding us from a portfolio standpoint over the last 4 years. The last piece of the product model we'd like to mention is how we manage complex initiatives. As mentioned before, we want minimal process and overhead for our teams, but there are times when it's necessary to add more rigor where there's many teams involved. Or maybe there's alignment needed with other programs, or maybe extra visibility is required with road mapping, planning, execution, and reporting of certain initiatives. For the initiatives where we recommend this, there are roles established, there's paved paths, and there's also coaching available to help them adopt the practices. This is a capability we're still working towards widespread adoption across our org. All right, that wraps up the process piece. Matt is going to talk next about how we're equipping our digital product org with the skills they need to be successful.
All right, thank you, Erin. Okay, so we talked about the structure, we talked about processes, and then there's, of course, that people element. So John's smart. He likes to say the transformations are 80% culture, 20% processes and tools. And earlier, I had mentioned that digital mastery is one of our 3 focus areas. So our belief is that by continually investing in the skills of all of our roles across the Agile operating model, so that's product, user experience, agility, and engineering, it creates this workforce that is resilient, but also excited to embrace new technologies, skills, and disruptions. And so 3 ways that we've been working towards realizing this belief that we have for our digital teams. One is aspiring towards this industry elite teaming behaviors. So for those that catch it, this is an intentional nod to DORA in terms of elite in our software delivery practices. But we also wanted to understand and align to what are the behaviors that are being exhibited by top product companies. So what are those product level practices that these top companies are following, not just in delivery, but from discovery to ideation to decision making down into delivery and release, and then the feedback loop there. And then kind of codifying that in terms of this is like our aspiration where we want product teams to get to. The second one's around upskilling our employees in our workforce to achieve these desired outcomes. So talking about new skills that we should get to in terms of how do they enable our strategic goals, our desired architectures, et cetera, and not just a blanket, X% learning time or just learning for the sake of learning or for novelty's sake. We wanted to make sure that there was an alignment there, that the skills we were focusing on were going to drive outcomes. And then third, one of the other things that we've done is working to create what we've dubbed these no regret skills. These no regret skills are basically, it's a minimal set of foundational skills for each of our roles that are broadly applicable regardless of the area of the business. So for example, you could see in the screen there, prioritization and value measurement are certainly 2 things that we would want all product roles to be able to be skilled at and be competent and proficient at, regardless of which product or which area of the business they're in. One of the benefits here is that it's also positioning our employees for better portability between products and lines of business, and broadening their options for their career path at John Deere. In that same vein, we've done some work to also make it easier for people to learn, to just try and remove some of that friction. We do that through curated learning paths, through active communities of practice, and then also finding opportunities to put new skills into practice as soon as possible. And then also creating informal and formal recognition programs that really help positively reinforce those learning behaviors. All right, so we want to talk about, just to kind of wrap this thing up, we want to talk about some of the key lessons learned. Just to put this into perspective, we're 5 years into this overall transformation journey. That's over 1,800 days. There's a lot of learning that goes on in 1,800 days, and we've learned a ton along the way. But we did want to leave you with just try and distill it from 1,800 days into 4 key learnings, if we can. So the first one is just build some clarity on your definition of product. Erin had that slide earlier that really talked about how we define a product, and from a role empowerment standpoint, from a team structure standpoint, et cetera. And we really felt like doing this up front helped us to get some of that broad consistency at scale and avoid a lot of problems as we went along. The second one is just around reorganizing and replanning around your desired outcomes. So first and foremost, just getting clear on the why before you go and figure out the what or the how. Get clear on the why and what's the desired outcome from this change initiative or from this priority. And then avoid changing just to change, whether that applies to your organizational structure or your OKRs. And then also, after you make the change, what's your feedback loop to verify if it actually produced the intended result? A lot of times when we make changes, we execute the plan to change and then we call it good. But how do we know if it actually had the intended effect that we were hoping for? The third one, just reinforcing something we talked about earlier, promoting more federated ways of working. Erin and I were biased because we strongly believe that our team and our centralized organization is a force multiplier for our digital product teams and organizations. That being said, we are at our most successful when we align and partner with those change agents and advocates that are embedded in the different lines of business. So make sure that you're nurturing those relationships, finding those advocates out in the across the organization, which will really help spread these newer ways of working. And then lastly, celebrate learning, not just success. So any sustainable transformation needs to show results. So yes, show progress early and often, even when it's not all success stories. Sometimes it just has to be learning stories. Avoid running any change initiatives solely on sponsorship goodwill, because eventually it's going to run out. So get big and visible on what's really happening, and then work to amplify out and recognize both the success and the learning stories across your organization. All right, and with that, thank you so much for listening to our talk and our journey thus far. It's been we've really enjoyed sharing it with you.